Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Chad Ammond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome to a special edition of Westmoreland Community Connections. The first half of today's show is a special edition of the COVID-19 situation that is happening throughout Westmoreland County. I'm Tony Michaels, Station Manager of WHJB.
I'm Lora Kay, morning show host for WHJB.
Laura, you chatted with Dr. Fox from Excela Health earlier this week. A lot of revelations in that interview.
Yes, Tony. I had the great honor of being able to talk to her on the phone, and I had a list of questions that I felt were extremely pertinent to myself as a resident of Westmoreland County, but also questions that our residents here, our listeners, questions that would be most on the top of their mind to get some answers.
As a country, I don't remember ever going through a situation like this one.
No, not in our lifetime. I mean, there were, of course, different plagues and different flus and different things happening in the past. But this is the first time that I remember something like this in my lifetime, and it's almost surreal. I don't know how you feel about it.
Somebody had compared this to a Stephen King novel, and it does kind of have that feeling to it. Besides the health situation, Laura, I spoke with Jim Smith, President and CEO of the Economic Growth Connection of Westmoreland, and we talked about business health during this situation. So the first part is going to be your interview with Dr. Fox. In the second half, I'll be chatting with Jim. Besides being our morning show host, you're also a marketing and sales rep here at the radio station. And so many of our business, our clients, our partners, as we like to call them, have been affected so much from this COVID-19 situation.
Oh, definitely. And as WHJB is such a proponent for local businesses and local shopping and helping out our economy here in Westmoreland County, it's very difficult for us. But of course, we're all here. We are at work every day. Tony and I and our sales staff and our business manager, we all show up because our first concern is taking care of our partners here in Westmoreland County. We do not want any kind of drop-off or decrease in the dedication and the loyalty to our local businesses and our local business owners here in the county. So your interview coming up is very, very important to let business owners know, okay, we're in trouble. This is where we can get help.
You've done an amazing job on your morning show of keeping our listeners abreast of the latest with this virus and things that are happening in our community. And also our news team, Josh Widdowson, John Poyster, on the job first thing in the morning starting at 5 a.m. with updates throughout the day into the evening hours, and also our website. So I do want to let our listeners know that your local community station here, WHJB 107.1, we're going to be here for you and working around the clock. Laura, without further ado, we're going to get to your interview right now with Dr. Fox. Thank you for joining me today and for everything you do.
Oh, thank you, Tony. This is Lora Kay from the WHJB Morning Show, and today I am on the phone with Dr. Carol Fox, Excela Health Chief Medical Officer. Thank you so much, Dr. Fox, for being with us today.
Good morning, Laura. It's great to be here with you.
And the reason I wanted to talk to you, Dr. Fox, is because there's a lot of questions going on around the coronavirus, the COVID-19, and we want to speak to the residents here of Westmoreland County and let them know the background and what's going on from your standpoint as a professional who is on the front lines. So let's start with my first question for you. What are you seeing here, just generally in Westmoreland County, as to the number of people who are requesting testing?
Well, there's a fairly large number of individuals who would like to be tested. That being said, we are trying to be judicious with testing. As you may be aware, we are able to test patients, but the turnaround time of testing and the ability to get results back quickly is somewhat limited. So we're trying to focus on the individuals that we feel may be at highest risk. And those typically are individuals who live in congregate health settings. So that would be somebody who lives in a skilled nursing facility, somebody who's a healthcare worker who has been exposed to the COVID-19 virus, somebody who has traveled to an area where there's widespread transmission. And that may be domestically here in the United States, such as Montgomery County, or it could be in Europe. Those individuals who are exhibiting symptoms and have those particular characteristics would be people that would be high on the priority list to test.
If you feel like you have symptoms, what's the first thing you want people to do in that circumstance?
If you feel that you have symptoms, the first thing that I would encourage individuals to do would be to contact their primary care physician and talk about it. The physician's typically going to try to assess the degree of symptoms that you're exhibiting. They're going to try to assess your history, whether you've been exposed that you know of, whether you've traveled anywhere where there's known to be ongoing transmission, and then they'll go from there. Typically, we like to rule out other things first, such as influenza. There's a large amount of influenza A in the community, so we want to rule that out. Sometimes people have a scratchy or sore throat. We want to make sure you don't have strep throat. There are some other respiratory viruses that can make you feel ill, so we can test for those as well.
That's a good point, Dr. Fox. And I guess my second question, you've really kind of answered it as we've gone along. I was going to ask you to tell me how Excela Health specifically is working to protect the residents of Westmoreland County.
Well, we're working directly with our primary care providers. We're trying to provide them, as well as our entire medical staff, all the information and education that they need to be able to manage patients that they see. When patients call for services, we're trying to triage them over the phone so that if we identify somebody who could be at risk, that we're taking the proper precautions. We are doing a lot of cleaning of our high-touch surfaces in our facilities where people are being seen. We provide masks to individuals who seek care, who are currently ill. And, of course, we focus a lot on hand hygiene and hand washing, both for ourselves and for our patients, to employ some environmental controls to limit the amount of crowding. So sometimes we're doing some different things. There are some physician offices, for example, that are asking patients to wait in their cars until it's almost their turn, and then they call them in so that there's not a lot of individuals in the waiting room, that sort of thing.
And that's a really good point. And actually, again, you have led into my next question, because I was going to ask what are the best ways for us to safeguard ourselves against the virus. You mentioned the hand cleaning, the social distancing, which of course has been out there. They're telling us to stay, out of crowded areas. What are some other things that we should be doing to help ourselves against the virus?
The best ways for individuals to safeguard themselves against the virus really, again, is to focus on hand hygiene, washing your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. If it's not available to you, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. If you have to cough or sneeze, cover your cough or your sneeze with your elbow or a tissue and throw it in the garbage right away. You want to distance from other individuals, stay out of crowded places, and of course the governor has indicated that he would like us to avoid non-essential activities outside the home. The president has indicated he'd like us to refrain from gatherings of more than 10 individuals at a time. At our hospital, all three of our hospitals actually, we are asking that only one visitor per patient come in. We are trying to have staff and patients or families who are receiving food or gifts from vendors to receive those in our main lobby or outside the main door so as not to bring pathogens into the building.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That gives us a little bit more even than what we've heard to build on. And, there's a lot of information out there, and some of it is incorrect and some of it is correct. I'm sure that's frustrating for someone in the health profession to hear that. But what are the best platforms from your viewpoint for people to stay informed about what is actually going on with the virus?
So here in Westmoreland County, I would strongly encourage individuals to go to the Excela Health website at www.excelahealth.org. We have a lot of good information from Excela specifically, but we also have the ability for you to link to the Pennsylvania Department of Health website as well as the cdc.gov website. And there's one place that has the most up-to-date information. It's going to be cdc.gov.
Okay, perfect. I know on our website, whjbfm.com, we actually have a link to that for our listeners to go to. So it's good to hear that is one of the places that we need to be. There are currently many businesses and events that have been either canceled or postponed, of course, due to COVID-19. How long do you think, I know this is hard for you to pinpoint an actual date, but just generally speaking, what are we looking for before we can start easing up on some of these precautions? What are the conditions that you're looking for that would be optimal?
Well, when we look at, the guidance that's out there at the state level at this point, we're looking at 14 days, but the CDC is really suggesting an 8-week time frame. And really that's because the incubation period for COVID-19 appears to be up to 14 days. We don't really know how long an individual might be shedding virus before they become ill. And so when you take into account the pre-illness shedding period, the illness itself, which can be relatively short, or it can be 10 to 14 days itself. When you put all that into context, an individual could potentially be shedding virus for a relatively long time, some of which when you didn't even realize that you were sick. And so I would anticipate we're going to have to see the numbers of cases peak and start to drop off before some of these more intense strategies would be liberalized.
Okay. All right. That's a very good point. Again, Lora Kay from the WHJB Morning Show speaking on the phone with Dr. Carol Fox from the Excela Health. She is the Chief Medical Officer there, and she has graciously given me some time today to talk to her about Excela Health and the COVID-19 virus and what we're experiencing here in Westmoreland County. Dr. Fox, I appreciate your time so much for helping out today. Please stay well and, look for more news from Excela Health as to updates.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Laura. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Dr. Fox. Hello, this is Tony Michaels, Station Manager of 107.1 WHJB. Earlier this week, I spoke with Jim Smith, President and CEO of Economic Growth Connection of Westmoreland. I talked to Jim about the COVID-19 emergency funding that is available for small business owners here in Pennsylvania. I'd like to start the interview with the official statement from Jim Smith.
We were notified by State Senator Bob Casey's office that Kelly Hunt, the District Director for Western Pennsylvania for the United States Small Business Administration, that the program for disaster relief funding has gone live and is available to businesses across the Commonwealth. The application process is open, and they should contact the SBA at their website for further details.
Jim, what type of businesses qualify for this emergency relief?
As of right now, it is all small businesses, as defined by the Small Business Administration, which I believe is currently fewer than 500 employees. There are no restrictions other than that.
Where can local business owners get more information on this disaster relief?
Well, there's a couple of ways, Tony, and that's a great question. First way would be to go straight to the Small Business Administration website. There are links up there for disaster relief. You can also go to either the county's website, the chamber's website, or the website of the Economic Growth Connection. All of those will have links provided.
Jim, are these low-interest type loans?
Yeah, they're, I believe, 4% loans, so the interest rates are probably a little bit higher than people would want right now, but the amortization period on them is very long. So the loan payments themselves will be low.
What's the window of time for business owners to apply for these disaster loans?
There is a limited amount of money available statewide, so we'd encourage businesses that are interested to apply as soon as possible.
What about nonprofit organizations? Do they qualify for these loans?
They do.
Now, does any nonprofit organization qualify for this? Is there a certain classification?
We have not seen any restrictions on that as of right now, but that would be a question for the SBA.
And again, the Westmoreland County COVID-19 leadership team urging small business owners and nonprofits to familiarize themselves with the application process for the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loans that are available now. If you own a business or manage a nonprofit organization, for more information, go to sba.gov/disaster. Once again, sba.gov/disaster. And I'd like to thank Jim Smith, President and CEO of the Economic Growth Connection of Westmoreland, for joining us on Westmoreland Community Connections here on WHJB. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.
And now let's resume with our regular scheduled program.
Welcome back. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Ammon, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. Our guest today is Maria Dillman. She is the president and head trainer for TJ's Rescue Hideaway. Maria, can you mention a pet finder and what a good tool it is?
Oh my God, Pet Finder is just amazing. You know, it lists all your adoptable animals and, you know, animals in the area and surrounding areas, and you can go on there and read stories about them. And actually they have a neat little thing where you search. I'm looking for, say, example, cats that like dogs. And we happen to have many because we have 6 dogs ourselves. And, you know, I just got a call yesterday about someone wanting to adopt an adult cat. And adult cats move much slower than kittens. Yeah. So it's always a happy time when someone wants an adult. And they said they typed in on Pet Finder a cat that likes dogs, and it brought up all the rescues that have cats listed that like dogs. So, I mean, ever since Pet Finder has hit the scene, it's done wonders for rescues and shelters to help people search for a pet from home.
Cats like dogs and dogs like cats.
Our dogs and cats are very, very close, most of them, yes. The cats groom the dogs' faces. And
that needs to be the political environment now nowadays. Do you offer training classes for the volunteers or something like that?
Well, I actually do in-home dog training for clients, and I do training with other shelters. You know, I'm training a dog for White Oak Safe Haven right now, and he is a little afraid of new people and men with beards. He would growl at you.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
Right.
And we are actually, he comes to class, and we introduce him to males with beards at a very slow, appropriate rate so he can process it all on his own. And it is our hope that this will help him to get adopted. You know, any animal that is sitting in the kennel in the surrounding area, if they call for help, our group will come out. All our volunteers will help. We try not to charge the rescues and shelters. We try to just, you know, do a little bartering. Maybe they take a cat from me. I train a dog. But without my volunteers that aren't afraid of these dogs with issues, I would never be able to train these dogs. Because yes, I can work with them, but they need to be able to work with the public as well. So that's when my volunteers are so useful to me, because they come in and I tell them what to do and they do it, and the dog's like, oh, okay.
You brought it up, but do you work with many other organizations in Westmoreland County?
Quite a few. As far as cat trapping, we work with Best Buddies. We go out and help at her spay and neuter clinics. We go to different events like Copycat. We just went to their spaghetti dinner and donated. You know, they're in Delmont. They're a real big cat rescue. Any rescue that wants help can get it from us. They just have to call and ask. You know, as long as you are a rescue that takes animals from these streets, I'll help you.
Oh, good. Talk about the acclimation period for the animals to decompress.
It's so important, and not enough places stress this. You have a dog that, let's say, was on the streets for 3 months. He gets picked up by a shelter. Now he's sitting in the kennel for another month while he gets neutered. So now it's adoption day, and the family takes him home. That poor dog is shell-shocked. And people, again, want that instant gratification. I gave you this home, look at your bed, look at your toys, love me. And the dog's like freaking out. I'm scared. This is new. I'm confused. Some dogs are thinking, what if I mess up? Some dogs are thinking, what if they get rid of me? You know, we don't know what they're thinking. It is so essential to give a dog a couple of weeks to just come around. Don't maybe make them play with their new toys. Just kind of let them walk around and do their own thing. You know, offer them a treat. Don't push the new dog. I know that everyone's so excited to bring a new dog home, But we're humans. We understand things differently. And a lot of times humans push their emotions onto dogs. It's still a dog.
Oh, yeah.
It still needs its time. And I guarantee you, you give a dog time to get situated and acclimate properly, you'll get your results that you want.
So how do you use a group called Happy Dog Running?
Oh my God, I love Jeff and Happy Dog Running. They are one of the best companies in town. Please check them out on Facebook. Jeff is a small company. He just started himself with a few runners, and they take your pets and or rescue dogs and they run them on the trails and they run them in neighborhoods. You know, everyone thinks if you let a dog out in the yard and it runs in circles, that's getting out its energy, and it's not. That's good for the dog's soul, good for playing, no good for the brain, no good for getting out that excess energy. But running on a leash, now we're talking, because it's a controlled situation. The dog has to follow what you tell it because it's on a leash. It has to listen to you, it has to think, and just the running in general, like, frees the dogs of so much energy. I have had him run some of my most high energy, difficult dogs that I never thought could run with him. Runs them like nothing. Dogs are so happy to see him. It's just one of the best companies and one of the best tools for people and rescues to use, because dogs come back calm, cool, and collected.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, my dog runs in circles every night for the kids.
Sounds like she needs Jeff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you prefer to rescue strays and local animals with your donors and local volunteers?
Absolutely. If I could be quite frank, there's a lot of strays going on around this area, and a lot of times when you have some big places where they're shipping in dogs from down south, because it's bad down there. You know, don't get me wrong, it is bad down there. But when you get 15 fluffy dogs shipped in, the dogs sitting around here kind of stay sitting. No one wants a pit bull when they could get a golden mix from Kentucky. So we, as a group, try very, very hard to remain local and push the local agenda, because you got to help in your own backyard. You got to clean up your own neighborhood first. The more we help here, the less stray animals will be here. I just feel we should focus on that a little as a community and as a people.
Where are you located for the listeners? I mean, and are you located online or?
We are online. Like I said, we're on Instagram. You could find us on the internet. You could find us on Facebook. We're Greensburg locally. You know, we focus a lot on Greensburg, but we do a lot of trapping in Ross Draver and Mount Pleasant. Take a lot of dogs. A lot of dogs come out of Connellsville. A lot of dogs come out of Fayette County. You know, but you can find us. And if you go to a lot of the pet stores like Muddy Paws, or you go to Doggy Daycare, See Spot Run, our cards are there and our flyers. You know, we're pretty well known in the surrounding area.
Well, and the listeners can go on petfinder.com.
Yep, and just type in TJ's Rescue Hideaway. My phone number will pop right up. You know, I answer any questions. I answer questions about dog training, about cats, about ideas for cats not getting along. You know, we rescue wildlife and transport them to Wildlife Works in Youngwood. One of our members is actually a member there. So, you know, pretty much anything involving an animal, or sometimes to help a human, you know, call. We're there. This is a community rescue, and we just want to help as much as we can in places we can help.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Hometown Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. You're listening to Maria Dillman. She is the president and head trainer for TJ's Rescue Hideaway. Maria, how can listeners donate to your organization?
We have many different ways. We take donations of cat litter. Cat litter is a big one that we appreciate. Cat food, dog toys. We like for cash to be called directly into our vet. We just feel like that's the safest way to do it. Then people know where their money is going, and our vet runs us a bill there. And he's very kind to us. That's All Pets Hospital in Greensburg. You know, sometimes we have Facebook fundraisers for certain dogs. Some dogs come in with such problems. We just took a dog from animal control about 3 weeks ago. He just got adopted last night, and he needed his tail amputated. And that was a very expensive surgery. So I did a fundraiser on Facebook, and, people called in when they saw it. They called into the vet, and we got that all paid for. And like I said, he just got adopted last night.
Wow. We're nearing the end of the show, but how can listeners be volunteers, and what events do you have?
Call me. Call me. I am always welcome to take on new people. The animals always need friends. And, this Saturday, we're actually going to be at Sea Spot Run in Greensburg, and we'll have some kitties and a couple of dogs set up. And I will actually be personally working a shot clinic in Mount Pleasant, helping that run smoothly. And, you could stop out there to Sea Spot Run and meet some of our members. And you could look us up on Facebook and, just shoot me a message that you heard me on the radio and you'd like to come volunteer, and I'll have you come to the house and meet the dogs. We start off with little things like kittens and puppies and work up to some of the bigger dogs and things of that nature.
So search Maria on, and TJ's Rescue Hideaway on social media or petfinder.com, and her number is 954-371-6418.
Yes. Yeah. And I am always accepting calls, text messages. If I miss you, leave me a voicemail. I will do my best to get back to you in a timely fashion.
Any other things that you want the listeners to know?
It's, it's very important to spay and neuter. All this rescuing, all these tears and dogs in the street and cats, all could be stopped with spay and neuter. If everyone would spay and neuter their animals, it would make us less to rescue in the future. So I couldn't stress that point enough. And the point, go meet the rescue dogs. Meet the ones that are barking at you. Meet the ones that back up in the cage. That is not the animal they are. When taken out of that situation, you can find something totally different inside of them.
Thank you very much, Maria Dillman.
It was such a pleasure.
President and CEO of the Head Trainer and TJ's Rescue Hideaway. Thank you very much for impacting our community.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You have been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections. Join us next week, same time, same place, for another edition of Westmoreland Community Connections. Thanks for listening, everyone.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of Citizens Fiber.